What would an EGM reset in the land-based casinos look like? Hello and welcome to the G3 Pulse podcast, sponsored by Leanon and part of our Slots Floor Shakeup. Returning to the discussion in part two, with me today is John Lancaster, industry slots specialist with over 30 years working with some of the industry's largest slots manufacturers, including IDT and Light & Wonder, and currently an independent consultant. John, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi Lewis, nice to see you again.
In our last podcast, John, we looked at the problems facing the EGM slot sector in EMEA. And in part two, I'd like to discuss the solutions and ask you if an EGM reset is needed and what that might look like. So just to recap, John, what are the core causes behind delayed EGM replacements in EMEA right now?
I think generally, as we talked about last time, the reduction in capex across the land-based casino industry, we've seen a significant reduction in the replacement rates of slot machines, which was in the region of 15 to 20%. It's now maybe 5 to 7%, depending on the country, and that's really leading to a train smash on the horizon when these products are obsolete and have to be replaced, or that the platforms that are on the floor are not able to deploy new content because the technology is not able to cope with the new innovations that the manufacturers are doing.
Okay. I guess in your opinion, again, and kind of a sensitive one, are operators underestimating the life cycle demands of modern gaming machines? Is that one of the issues here?
No, I don't think they underestimate it. I mean, every discussion I've had with operators on this topic, they absolutely understand the situation. They're frustrated because they know that they need to address the younger players and to try and attract new players. I mean, every operator that I've spoken to over the last 5 years has lost players. There's an over-reliance still on a handful, which is a decreasing number of high-end players. The 80-20 rule is still very much alive, and in fact it's going in the wrong direction. And the only way they know they can address this is to innovate with new products and attract new players. The frustration is, of course, that with reduced capex, they don't know how they're going to do that, and they appreciate that at some point in the near future something's got to give.
So we've talked about the problems. Moving on to what are the potential solutions, what can be done to bring product development cycles back in sync with operational realities?
I think the main area really is we need to look at potential changes to the business model. I don't think it's realistic to expect that an operator is suddenly going to have find millions and millions of extra dollars to invest in product. So I think there probably needs to be a shift towards a different business model in certain markets. I mean, I'm speaking predominantly about the European markets and the EMEA markets, which is my area of expertise. Yeah. I think in the US the problem's slightly different because the replacement cycles are still quite fast, and they're able to keep pace with technical products. Technical innovations because they're replacing relatively quickly. But in EMEA it's a little bit of a different story. So I think the solution there lies in how manufacturers and operators can work together to find a model that fits both the parties, so that manufacturers can put products on the floor and that product can live its useful life of maybe 5, maximum 7 years, and then it can be replaced without the operator having to spend a lot of money to invest in capex in order to do so. How can that be done? Well, I think there are lease models, there are participation models, and that gives the operator then the luxury of being able to not have to worry about whether the capex is available. And at the time when the lease period is up, they simply replace the products and they'll get the latest and greatest more frequently. The financial part of that is still to be worked out because there's no such thing as a free lunch for any of us. But I think there's definitely ways. But the advantage I think for the operator is the manufacturer then has skin in the game. So if a product is on lease, if a product is on participation, it's the manufacturer's responsibility to bring innovation to that product, to bring new content onto that box, to assess, evaluate, work with the operator on the performance of the product, and fix it if it doesn't work. The key area that still needs to be worked out is, if a manufacturer was selling a product in the past, which is the method of choice from most operators, they want to own the product, but on the basis that they were owning it before for 10 to 15 years, therefore the payback was significantly higher. The manufacturer will still expect to have his pound of flesh within that lease period. And so I think there's the conundrum that needs to be worked out. Now, there are second life opportunities for cabinets, so they could lease them for 5 years to an operator, then put them in a different region or whatever, and filter them down to other levels. So I think that can be worked out. But I think that's definitely a possible solution, in that both parties then get the benefit of the manufacturer is constantly supplying new products. The operator is getting the latest and greatest, and is getting the support on to have that product on the floor. So I think that's one of the main options, really, or potentially the only option is to fix this problem.
You mentioned the US there. Just thinking about the difference between the two and EMEA versus the US is that the EMEA has traditionally been very much a buy culture as opposed to participation and lease. Is that something that is embedded? Is it ingrained? Is it something that, when you've spoken to operators, is it something they want to embrace, or is it something that will take a cultural change? And if this is systemic and spiraling down, is it something they do need to consider?
I think it's a reality rather than a choice. I think they're accepting now that this might be the only solution. And by the way, the US, I mean, the lease participation model in the US is a very, very small percentage. I mean, I think it's around 3% is what most operators have on their floor. So, but because they've got a much faster replacement cycle, they can justify it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's more of a reality. And the European markets are very different. I mean, as you know, the UK is a 100% lease model on the LBO sector. So there are markets where this has been accepted and it works perfectly well. As I said earlier, it's really just about getting the economics right. I think if the numbers stack up, I think the advantages are definitely there in terms of getting product refreshment on a regular basis, getting content refreshment on a regular basis, and the manufacturer having a responsibility to make sure that the performance is there. I think that's a win-win situation, providing we can get the numbers right.
Okay. My original question was about what does innovation in the EGM design need to look like in the next 5 years. I think from the discussion with you, it's not so much, or in your view, I want to put words in your mouth, it's not so much the fact that the product has to change or innovate particularly. Is it the business model that needs to actually be thought about?
Yeah, the business model is one thing. I think one of the things that the operators are telling us is that the manufacturers have to look to create longevity on hardware and platform. Now, that's difficult because manufacturers, whilst they are manufacturers, they're not really manufacturers. They're assemblies. They're not developing the technology behind it. They're using the technology, so they're at the mercy of the tech industry. But I think the manufacturers potentially, and this is what the operators are telling me, and I'm listening, is they have to find ways of giving that hardware more longevity. I think they feel that there's a shift into, we have to replace our hardware in 3, 4, 5 years, otherwise you won't support it anymore. That was never the case, obviously, when hardware was simple, when it was a mechanical reel, or even video products had more longevity. So I think that's something the manufacturers have to look at is, are we forcing our customers to buy product more frequently than they're comfortable with, or more frequently than is reasonable? I think that's an area that we as a manufacturer have to look at.
Okay, so final question, John, and the summation of the two podcasts that we've done. So this is the biggie. What would an EGM reset look like? And in your view, is it needed?
I think that combining the two things that we've said, we've got to make the products, or enable the players, the manufacturers to operate those products for longer without content being compromised because of the platform being too old. So manufacturers have to find a way of allowing a product to be on the floor for longer and to support that product for longer. I think realistically though, the replacement cycles will never go back to what they were. The product will never last longer than as long as they used to do. So I think we need to look at, especially in the European markets, we need to look at a business model which allows that to happen, that commercially the operators are comfortable with, and that the manufacturer can accept, because the manufacturer has to also, meet its objectives. So I think the key is to find the right business model, and to make sure that the product has a bit more legs than it currently does. I think we've shifted in the wrong direction. Other than that, I'm not sure what else there is that can be done.
Okay, on that note, I'll leave it there. John, thank you very much for the food for thought there, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next one.
Thanks, Lewis.
Cheers.
Take care, bye-bye.